everywhere. Every sport's going crazy. I don't know what to expect. It's FISE.
The crowd is absolutely ecstatic to watch you ride, and the whole atmosphere is absolutely unreal. So much fun.
It's so very special because you don't see that anywhere else except for at FISE.
Welcome the world. This is stop number 2 here. It is the World Series of FISE Budapest 2017. Let's just talk about that. We are in the absolutely iconic city of Europe. This is Budapest, Hungary. You're joined right now by myself, Ryan Meyer, the English commentator here for the FISE World Series, and of course none other than BMX superstar legend Daryl Now. Daryl, thank you so much for joining us once again out here at the FISE. And for the first time, it is the women's final.
Ryan, thank you for that kind intro. I'll definitely take that one. I do have to say it's amazing being here in Budapest. The energy, the excitement, and the beauty of this city. People always talk about how this is one of the most beautiful cities in all of Europe, and I gotta tell you, they were right on the money. The sunset, the architecture, the artwork here, it is just beautiful, and it really sets such a perfect backdrop for stop number 2 on our FISE World Series.
As you were saying, it is absolutely amazing to be in this beautiful city. It is breathtaking. Pictures can't do justice to how absolutely gorgeous this place is. But let's take a look at the FISE World Series map. As we said, it's stop number 2 on the FISE World Series. We started off in Montpellier. We are here in Budapest, Hungary. And then as well, we are going to be moving over to Edmonton, Canada. That's September 15th to 17th. Make sure you guys mark that one on your agenda if you're in North America. And like always, we're finishing off the series in Chengdu, China, November 3rd to 5th. So make sure you mark those on your agenda if you're anywhere in the area for any of those remaining events. As well, if you are, I don't know, let's say in Croatia, close to Budapest right now, if you're in Hungary, make sure you mark it. You have 2 more days of competition out here in Budapest, and the FISE World Series is doing it up. Absolutely amazing to be out here. I can't thank the city of Budapest enough for welcoming us, the Action Sports Network, out here to represent action sports on so many different disciplines and showcase what we have going on in the scene. If you're checking us out on social media, make sure you follow us, FISE World Series. That is on Instagram. It is the FISE World, and on Facebook, you can make sure you follow FISE.official. Make sure you get involved with all the content. FISE Budapest, that is going to be the hashtag you can follow for this event. As well, make sure you guys check out the app Worm. This is actually one of our title sponsors, and a couple of the BMX athletes, Logan Martin and Alex Colborn, I believe, are as well represented athletes by Worm. This is an amazing slow motion app. Tell me something about this, Daryl.
Yeah, the app Worm, it's so groundbreaking for action sports. The fact that you can really focus on slow motion of any content, it's so cool. So you mentioned our 2 athletes who are competing in our FISE World Series, where you can see unique content from them, but also of all of our competitors out here. All you got to do is download the Worm app, and then you can check out all the slow-mo action over the course of the World Series. But the cool thing is you can upload your own content. Just throw that hashtag FISE, and we will definitely be able to check it out. But right now, we're taking a look at our judging panel up there. We've got 5 industry icons and riders themselves. We've got professional judge Hank Dave Cleworth from the UK. Then from Slovenia, we have Luke Kovic. He runs a BMX shop and mail order company. Our 3rd judge is from Croatia, Igor Vukadinovic. We picked him last year up at the Pernonian Challenge. Our 4th judge is none other than the USA rider Brian Kaczynski, and our 5th judge giving his watchful eye is the legendary street pioneer Van Homan. So those are some pretty big lists of names. I think as far as BMX street, it does not get any bigger than Homan. Van's actually been a competitor out here in FISE years past at Montpellier, so he definitely has a lot of experience on the ramp course as well. And they are going to be breaking down all of our athletes' runs, trying to give the highest score possible from a 0 to 100.
We are starting this off. This is going to be our first webcast of the weekend, actually, but it's a first of many. This is the first time here in Budapest. It's the first live cast, but as well, this is the first for women's. Walk us through what that means for some of the women competitors in BMX.
Yeah, this is enormous. This is a very big time for BMX in general. We partnered with the UCI, which is a World Cycling Federation, and they basically said, you know what, let's bring BMX to the mainstream. So we are going to Tokyo in 2020, which is so exciting. The Olympics, BMX is going to be there, but you're going to have a men's and women's component. And that is why women's BMX freestyle is being pushed. And right now, we're taking a look at our 2016 champion, also our winner out in Montpellier, the one, the only, Hannah Roberts. Now, Hannah is such a dominant rider. We're seeing her style, that bar spin to X up. Taking a look at the tuck no-hander going on from the hip, the quarter pipe into the wedge. Here's a bar spin on the hip. And look at the flare right here. Hannah throwing down. She's one of the only women competitors who have flares on lock. Also, no problem at all skying over the box, showing you why she was your 2016 champion and looking to do it again in 2017. She's already off to a great start. This is a points race. She has 10,000 points awarded for her first place out in Montpellier. And she's looking to add another 10,000 here if she could take that first place.
So it's going to be a race down to the wire, and like you said, she's already onto a lead, but there are a whack of other strong, dominant female competitors nipping at her heels right now. Let's take a look at some of the other competitors that are going to be into this finals. We're just going to do a little bit of a rider introduction, get the ladies sorted down on course, and our on-site announcer is going to be just calling out the names right now.
All right, coming from the Great Britain, qualified at 8th place. Make some noise for seventh place on the qualification, Argentina's best smile, Arieta Carillas. Coming next is from Chile, Camilla Rambo. The next up is from Rotterdam in the Netherlands, Shani Silvia Cruz. And another one from Chile, Macarena Perez. All right, up there, qualified third place from Geneva, Switzerland, Nikita Dicko. The second spot qualifies is from the North of Italy, Bora Lessman. And the number one qualifier, Germany World Cup winner, 2016 champion, Hannah Roberts.
So there are our women athletes as they line up, getting ready to charge our FISE World Series course here. So the way it's going to work, Ryan, we basically have our 5 judges. We're taking a look at our 8 athletes. The way that we wind up getting this order was from our qualifier yesterday. And the way that it's going to work, our riders are going to have 2 heats, we're going to break them down to 2 separate heats of 4 riders. Each rider is going to have 2 runs that is approximately 1 minute, 60 seconds, and it is going to be an overall approach on the course. So both runs are going to count. Our judges are going to want to see each rider's speed, style, flow, tricks, trick difficulty, consistency, unique approach flowing through this course, whatever lines they may take. And I just want to emphasize for a second time, you and I always talk about this, style. Such an important part. It is called freestyle BMX, so that free and style coming together definitely is a fun element. As far as the course goes, it's not a race, but you can really let your creativity, your individuality shine out there. And that's why we saw in Montpellier, Hannah Roberts come out on top, but she's looking to do it again here in Budapest.
That's right, we have 8 of the top female athletes in the world. Like you said, it's not just Hannah Roberts. There's as well Lara and Nikita nipping at the heels to see what's going to happen. But right now, the first girl to drop in is going to be Val Ward. 1 minute is set on the clock. We're just gonna get ready to get the competition rolling here.
Very exciting. This is the first time that we're going with our live stream and also our show programming of our women's BMX. Again, the fact that we're going to be in 2020 in the Olympics, you're going to have a women's and men component. That's why there's been a lot of energy and excitement, but also the women have really been pushing the sport. So right now we've got Val Ward locked and loaded. 60 seconds starts now. So Val dropping in over the hip. Nice tuck right there.
Yeah, the cool thing about the FISE series as well is that they bring this course around the world with them. And if you were watching our first edition of the FISE World Series, you may be familiar with some features on this course. You did see them featured in the Montpellier, and that means that the riders are able to be very comfortable as they travel around on this World Series. You can see it in some of the female riding going on out here. Val having some nice fluidity pumping around some of the corners.
Yeah, Ryan, that's a really great part. The fact that the transitions can be similar from course to course. Riders don't get a lot of time to practice. Yes, 1 footer. Val looking very comfortable. So they don't get the most time to practice, but if the transition they're familiar with, even though we changed the setup, changed the course, changed the components, it's something that's very cool to see that consistent ability out here. So time is winding up. Val with a solid run right there. She had a couple of key elements, utilizing the hips on the course. Again, that 1-footed air, very cool. Utilizing the entire 60 seconds. That is always a big factor. You and I both see out here all the time. It's really, can a rider keep their speed and momentum throughout the entire 60 seconds? And also, the most important thing, stay on the bike with no crashes.
Exactly, that's a very important point, especially for the judges. If you have a crash in your run, it's not necessarily like it wipes your entire run in some other sports where that would happen, let's say mountain biking exactly. In BMX, you're able to have a little bit of a wipeout, but it ruins your fluidity, it ruins your flow. So if you're able to have a clean, consistent run, that's especially something for the top.
Yeah, and you know, if we're going to talk about crashing, obviously no rider wants to do that. But if you do it, you want to do it at the end of your 60 seconds where you get the full run in, you show your abilities, your skill level, as opposed to the first run, which we sometimes like to call the Baba Booey, where you wind up messing up right out of the gate. And not only, like you said, it robs your momentum, it can rob your mojo and where your headspace is, because BMX is so much taking the mental and making it physical.
Truly. Analia, she's about ready to drop in for her first run here.
Look at the Argentinian rider charging tabletop air.
Nice amplitude. That's something very amazing to see in the female category.
Making her presence known with the toboggan. That's where you take your one hand off, you grab the seat, and twist the handlebars. Originally invented by Jeff Tabacci out in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, but we're seeing it here in Hungary, looking back over the hip.
She has some beautiful speed coming backwards on the spine jump, going up into some very nice transition runs, like you said, over that hip and going back again on the spine.
Yeah, she's really utilizing that volcano. The way that she's set up after the hip to hit into the box jump, showing you the control on the course. Yo!
The suicide one-hander up, the step-up box jump. That's going to do it.
Now, Brian, one thing I want to note for all of our viewers at home, you can see all of our flags out here. We've got our Worm flag, our FISE flag, our UCI flag. They're all blowing extremely heavy in the wind right now. It's definitely picking up, and as we know as riders ourselves, it can definitely impact your performance on the course. If it's a headwind, it's going to slow you down. It looked like as she was approaching the step up, she was definitely feeling that. If it's a side wind, it can definitely blow you to either side in the air, making it a little bit more difficult to do some tricks. And if it's a wind coming from the back, it can make you overshoot a jump or land flat. So it's definitely a difficult thing to kind of combat while you're out there on the course.
Wind is definitely one of the largest issues for action sports, especially when you're flying so high in the air with most of these difficult maneuvers. If you have a bike with wheels under you, it almost acts as if sail. It wants to blow you completely in other directions than you really intended to go. So it's a very difficult thing to have that control dominated through your run. That's why contests are always so difficult for some of the athletes. It's not only a mental game of, okay, you have to be completely on point with what you're going to do for your run, but as well, can you react against the elements?
Yeah, you know, if a rider is maybe a video rider, an internet rider where they put content out, I guess now you can say Instagram rider, you know, you have so many options, but right now you just have 60 seconds to make it happen. And right now, charging out on the course is Camila, just making her presence felt in the first 20 seconds of her run. Look at this, up the vert wall, a lot of speed, airing out actually. Yes!
Flying with a nice look back over that box jump and beautiful
Look at the transfer, right? That transfer line, very cool, showing you her bike control out there.
Very amazing fluidity.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. You just said it. The fluidity and a big jab.
And a nice transfer going backwards.
Wow, that's some originality right there. You see her push off the wall, but able to keep her momentum. See, now it's a great use of the course, because you saw she didn't have enough speed to clear the step up. And rather than maybe just stall on top, she said, you know what, let me transfer over to the big wedge, and you saw down that 10-foot tall landing gain a lot of momentum to charge back across the course.
This is where judging comes into play. It's not just about the tricks that you can do, but it's as well about how you can accentuate your own style and your own aesthetic into your riding ability. And Camila was definitely doing this out on the course. She had those amazing transfers, some beautiful speed. She did have the tricks there, but she was more so focused on just kind of doing her own creativity with unique lines like this transfer back into the spine landing, and that's where the judges are really going to gain points with her.
Yeah, solid run right there. But again, it is a 2-run format, and it is overall impression. So both runs are going to equally count, but that's what you want to do, get one solid one in, and then focus on the second run.
From the Netherlands, I've as well seen Silvia riding quite often in Eindhoven at the 040 BMX Park. A girl who has the backflip in her bag of tricks.
Whoa!
Whoa! And bringing it right out of the gate. Yes, and that 360 to fly out.
And a turn down. We are seeing big tricks also with a lot of style. I also want to add, I'm a big fan, matching pants to the rims. Always a good look out there, giving it your own personal style. What?
Wow, 540.
Ryan, this is insane. We are seeing so many big tricks. Nice foot plant on the wall, showing you a little bit of originality. Another 360.
She's riding very often with some of the top pros in the Netherlands. Daniel Wedemeyer, the Flying Dutchman, as well as Tom van der Boogaard. They're all riding at the 040 BMX Park. So this is a huge influence as well. They're all having a fun time riding together. And you can see that dominant in her style and the way that she is throwing tricks like that right out of the bag. She seems to be riding with a lot of other riders who have contest experience.
Yeah, that was an enormous run. I mean, big tricks, booming style, just that is what a rider wants to do. She's definitely going to prove to be a contender for the top spot if she can stick a second run. But we're looking at the backflip right here, full rotation around, and that box jump is huge. A lot of the riders are even having trouble clearing it right there, but you saw she was able to compensate and land on the deck. And there's a 540, that is a circle and a half, 540 rotation, very, very smooth.
So, back to the first.
So the way it works, we've got our 8 riders broken into 2 separate heats, 4 riders apiece. They're going to have 2 separate runs. That means we're going back to the top, where Val Ward is going to have her second chance in the ring to bring her stuff here in the 2017 FISE World Series stop number 2. 60 seconds has started, up over the step up.
Just you to know, she came by car from all the form along.
Val getting her flow on. There's that 1-footer over the hip. Very cool to see, Ryan. We talk about this being a unique course. The fact that we have an elevated portion. We also have these bowl corners. We've got a couple of volcanoes out here, which is almost like a reverse bowl corner. And then we're seeing the hip being utilized by Val right now. And there's that volcano. Yes, can. So you see a variation on that 1-footer. The first time over the hip, she put her foot to the right, and this time to the left, stepping over that top tube. Let's see, setting up the vert wall. The momentum right there, candy bar. So you're seeing that 1-footer, very comfortable, but 3 different variations. So again, with the 1-footer, the can, and the candy bars where the foot goes over that top crossbar. Difficult trick, you got to be super flexible to get that foot in that position up there.
See some history on the candy bar. Where is this one influenced from?
But one of the riders, actually one of my teammates, and also I used to sponsor the gentleman, now he's a lifelong friend. Jimmy Levan was one of the riders who definitely brought the candy bar to a whole nother level. He did the no-footed candy bar, definitely got a lot of photos back in the day where he was taking both feet off, kicking the foot over the bar right there. He'd get that big extension. Also, Billy Delph's another rider who really brought the no-footed candy bar to the mainstream. But right now, Val Ward, so she put in a solid second run.
And the Argentinian, Analea Zacharias, going to drop in for her second run. It is very windy out here, so I'm hoping she's not going to be too affected. Going for that toboggan over the hip jump, pumping around off that volcano feature, nice into the vert wall. Beautiful tuck no-hander over that box jump.
Yeah, Brian, that was a great no-hander. She had the extension, and look at the height on the quarter pipe air, up and over the spine, taking her hand off, really showing you just how comfortable she is in the air. Yes, looking back over the hip. So she is at the halfway mark, 30 seconds to go. Smith stall, that is when you balance on your peg on the front coping, your back tire up on the ramp. She is brakeless, so that definitely increases the level of difficulty. If a rider has a back brake, they can use it to wind up stopping their momentum. Looking for the height over that step up. Again, that headwind is just picking up, making it very hard for riders to get the speed to the box and to the step up. But that is going to be run number 2 from Analea.
Always in this line, always cheering the crowd.
So one thing to note, again, it is 2-run format. It is going to be an overall impression. Our UCI technical delegate, Bart de Jong, is here, and I had a chance to talk with him earlier, and he was talking about the fact that the judges really like to see 2 different runs out on the course. They don't want to see the same run 2 times. Now, what that means, that's going to be in hands of the judges. Doesn't necessarily mean 2 complete lines where riders can start at different parts of the course and end at different parts, or does that mean they can do a similar but throw different tricks in? I think that's the element of the freestyle, and where you do have the judge's opinion really coming into a factor out there.
Yeah, like Bart is saying, they would like to see diversity, and as it is an overall impression, I mean, that's something nice to be able to showcase, that you don't only have one run planned in with the same tricks. You can just show that you're able to go out, have fun, and utilize all the course, you know, maybe taking a different line selection.
Like we're seeing right here. Yeah, Camellia dropping in, transferring out. Look at that.
Whoa!
Wow, wild style. Again, that wind might be a factor. We're seeing these flags just
the umbrellas
around.
The umbrellas almost blowing off above the judges' heads atop of that curved wall.
Able to get her speed back though and clear the box. There you go, looking for that 270, maybe even into a Smith.
Yeah. Bumping around the corner.
Mia dropping in. Yes!
Yeah! Oh, just sliding out on that alley-oop 270.
All right, back to her feet. That's what we always like to see. Well, we don't like to see a rider go down, but if they do, and they're able to get up on their own accord, the big smile plastered on their face. So that is going to be Camilla's second run. That score, again, like we said, if you do crash, you want it towards the end of the run. It doesn't wipe out your entire score, but it's definitely not favored highly if you wind up crashing in your 60 seconds.
So going back to Silvia Cruz from Rotterdam, Netherlands. Came out of the gate flying with that backflip. An amazing 540 on the quarter pipe. Some very interesting flyout tricks like that 360. And the beautifully matching teal pants to rims. Like you said, you would give her very good points for, Daryl.
Yeah, I mean, looking good, feeling good's half the battle out here. And Silvia Cruz, 270 dropping in. So this is what we're talking about. Showing that she has a lot of diversity on the bike, X up out of the quarter pipe, and is not just a 1 or 3 trick pony, because she had a couple big tricks in her first run. Totally different approach out here.
Going for that 540 tire tap.
Yeah, I mean, the first run definitely had the big backflip as you were talking about the 540, but right now to show her diversity is very impressive.
Going back for that backflip.
Showing, you know what? There's a can-can over the top tube. So we saw an X up in her first run in the quarter pipe. Again, showing the diversity as a rider. That's something that I always love to see. Yeah, no footer right there, taking the feet off. Foot plant up on the coping. Final moments right here. This is where the endurance really counts. At home, you might be going, hey, it's 60 seconds. Well, try being out on the course. Oh, 540.
Just going down on that 5.
Yeah, not easy to do, especially when you're winded at the end of 60 seconds. Taking a look at some of our fans out here cheering on all of our women athletes. So at the end of your 60 seconds, you guys know, if you try doing anything for 60 seconds at full intensity when you got a lot of nerves and you're on the world stage, is not easy. But right now, that backflip, dare I say, making it look very easy. Silvia Cruz, that's definitely a name that I like seeing out here on our World Series.
And definitely going to be a fighting contender, I believe, for 2020 in Tokyo. I just want to take a moment to thank our first riders from heat number 1 here in the women's final, but as well I'd like to thank the Hungarian Cycling Federation and the EMMI for coming out here and supporting the Hungarian action sports scene. They're doing a big job out here in Budapest, especially letting us come out and showcase action sports abilities, but they're working a lot with the youth to discover different action sports and channeling a lot of focus onto the youth and sporting facilities out here in Hungary. So a big shout out to the Hungarian Cycling Federation.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, that's such a good part. Our entire city here has been so welcoming. Budapest just embracing not only the FISE World Series, but also, like you said, working these youth programs, really making sure there's a foundation here for all of the youth to get involved, to get tied in, and the future riders. It's exciting now. We're talking about future riders potentially going to the Olympics.
Yes.
So these are names that you're going to want to know, because these could be potential future gold medalists, which is really exciting to say. And that's the first time ever for BMX Freestyle that that's even a possibility.
You know, this is something that it kind of goes back to these discussions that I used to have with my parents when I was riding as an athlete, and they were like, okay, well, great, you're going to these contests and stuff, but where is it going to get you in life? And you know, that was that kind of older mentality. Now it's like, okay, you're competing in these events, and where can you go? You can go to the Olympics, which is seen as one of the largest sporting achievements in the world, and to be able to have this under our belts to say, okay, we are this official sport now. We are able to showcase our abilities on such a professional level that now we have an Olympic presence as well. I think it's so beautiful for the sports.
Yeah, I mean, that really is a great point that you bring up, because it just talks about the idea of the pinnacle of sports, where we are, where we're going. So right now, let's take a look. Our standings after heat number 1. Wow. Silvia Cruz bumping up there at the 78. Solid run right there.
Analia in second place with the 77.40, not too far behind Silvia. And then Camila Arambon with a 74.40, and Val Ward rounding off your top 4 there with the 67 even. We're getting ready for our second heat here of 2. It's going to start off with Perez, then moving into Nikita, Lara, and none other than Hannah Roberts. And that is going to be your 8 women out here in the finals. So like you said, it's 2 runs each, best run counts, and a 2-heat format.
So what this means, we have our top qualifiers from our semi-final yesterday. So we technically might see the top 4 riders and the scores might go up, but Silvia Cruz set the standard with a 78, so our riders are looking to bump up the score. And Macarena Perez with a turn down on the step up. She's showing you a lot of speed on the course, a lot of control, and a lot of height with that tabletop. She's also showing you that she has a unique approach, setting up for that hip, going off the volcano into the box jump. She's not even phased by this wind out here. Just getting that
what a toboggan. Oh, it's textbook. Perfect 90-degree tweak with the bars and an amazing seat grab. Phenomenal riding over that box jump.
Yeah, look at the way she's able to keep her momentum. You could see that the flow, she's actually hitting a lot more hits than our riders and our first 4 women that took the course, and it's because she's able to keep her speed.
Wow.
There's a rodeo-style toboggan, putting the arm back while she twists the bars as opposed to grabbing the seat. Final moments right here. X up over the hip as the 60 seconds winds down. Wow, great run right there. So even as far as jumping or tricks go, we know our current leader with the 78, Silvia Cruz, she had the backflip 540, but one thing to talk about as far as Macarena Perez's run was concerned, she had a lot of speed throughout the entire run. There's that toboggan that you talked about, textbook. If you really put a T-square, you'd see it was at 90 degrees. And then over the box, just skying, no problem to clear that landing, throwing that rodeo toboggan in for extra points, and just kept the flow the entire 60 seconds, which is not an easy thing to do, but demonstrates the bike control.
Daryl, you've been announcing BMX for a very long time, I believe, and you've been all around the world. And this is our first time having the women's finals on live stream. What does that mean for the women?
It's so exciting because it's really just making a platform, and it's showcasing to women around the world that, hey, you know what? BMX is not just a male-dominant sport, but I can get involved with this too. And you see so many of the women riders are role models, and they wind up just setting off the standard, again, for other skate parks to say, you know what, you can ride, and it's a very exciting time. And right now, Nikita is definitely one of the leaders of the sport, and over the box, a 1-foot X up the K-can.
Yeah.
What a cool combination.
That's a beauty trick there. Nice alley-oop 180. Over that other round quarter feature. We saw her do the 1-foot can, going back there, and then seeing that, the 1-foot X up to can, a beautiful combination.
Yes, can, but getting up and over that landing. So you're seeing right now, there's 6 seconds to go, tabletop. She's showing how much control she has and awareness of the course. The time is winding down, but knowing that and able to spin around. Sometimes you'll see riders get a little confused towards the end. You're winded, you've got your nerves from your first run, but definitely showed control the entire time. And that 3-trick hit over the box, the 1-foot, the X up, and the can was so smooth and so fluid. So Nikita Dukaros with a very great first run on the course. But we're going to take a look again, that vert wall, so much confidence into the box jump, 1-foot X up, steps through, but the fluidity was so perfect on that.
That was such a trail-inspired trick, just like something that you see with all the homies down at your local dirt trails, watching video pars, blasting some stuff, and be like, okay, let's go out and try some new combinations. That worked out perfectly for Nikita.
So we have 2 riders to go, and these are your top 2 qualifiers. So they were able to control their bike and impress the judges the most out of all of our other women out here. And right now, taking her first run is Bora Lessman.
Wow, Bora Lessman charging across course, coming up into the box jump, blasting a 1-foot can. Oh, into a nice kick flip up on that transfer. Look at the speed that she has. Flying backwards over that spine, the nice seat grab.
What?
Whoa, was that a hand plant?
That was a foot plant, putting the sneaker right up on the wall. Looks like she's got put a Vans waffle sole right on the wall, toboggan over the hip. Bora Lessman showing you why she qualified in second. Wow, the speed is definitely a factor. Tail tap on the box, setting up again. I like to see how much control and awareness our riders have.
Whoa.
Talk about a technical trick, going for the pedal flip and a bar spin, giving a head nod. They're saying, you know what, I've got this.
Whoa!
Yes! Our crowd out here in Budapest just so excited, showing their love and support. Talk about a technical trick. So you got so much going on right there. You're not only flipping your cranks around with your feet, but you're throwing the handlebars at the same time. Nothing is on the bike. Bora Lessman just letting it rip, putting it all back on. You saw that it's a little bit of an uphill landing, so she didn't have the speed and momentum. But definitely on that can-can, she had the momentum. And here's a look, again, putting that Vans waffle sole right up on the wall. And here is a look at the pedal flip, the bar spin. Landed it perfectly, but it was an uphill landing. Tips over, that was at the buzzer, and he's definitely getting rewarded with a huge round of applause from our crowd.
I mean, we haven't even seen yet a bar spin today, so amazing to see the bar spin with the pedal flip in there, as well as that 1-foot can. Let's just touch on that. That was beautiful extension.
All right, look at the determination and focus. This is your 2016 returning FISE World Series champion, and this is also your #1 qualifier coming for the US of A, Hannah Roberts.
Hannah Roberts is a brakeless rider, and wow, talking about bar spins, we just see a beautifully executed one. Woo, check out how she railed around that corner. Flawless X-up, manually over the volcano and pumping back up into the box jump. Look at that, a tuck no-handed suicide style.
Yeah, putting the arms back. I like seeing the way that she's able to carve the bowl corner. Yes, bar spin,
Oh, going down onto that hip jump. A little bit of winded.
We're gonna give Hannah a moment to get checked out. There's some of the best medical staff in the world out here.
She just fell twice on the same place, so she fell on the practice on the legs.
So we just heard as well, she had a slide out in the practice on the same one, and when that happens multiple times, you sometimes just re-injure the little spot. Hopefully she is going to be okay.
All right, we're hearing a round of applause from our crowd out here. Meaning Hannah is back to her feet. Hopefully she'll be feeling well enough to take her second run. Ryan, sometimes as well, there's so much pressure and there's so much energy out on the course. There we go, we see Hannah walking off. She is one tough athlete. So hopefully, again, we'll have a chance to see her take her second run. A lot of times you're so winded when you wind up falling in your run, you might just need a breather, catch your momentum, catch your bearings, but Hannah able to go back up on top of the quarter pipe. Hannah always rides with her heart on the line and also always pushes herself, and she's pushing the entire sport of women's BMX. She's definitely the leader, as we mentioned, returning champion in 2016. And if we're going to mention Olympics and potential gold medalist, potential contender for that top spot, Hannah Roberts is a name that you want to know. She could be a household name before we know it, but right now, Macarena Perez coming in, run number 2 with a no-hander. Wow, that spine, oh,
hands in the air. How did that happen? Could have been something with the wind. I mean, we're looking up at the towers up there. It is just gusting, so I just gutted for her. She looked very taken off guard, but back up on the saddle like nothing, going for the same line. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, I think she just washed out a little bit going over the edge of that roller, but now there's the speed. Again, you can't feel the wind at home, but that's going to be such a big factor. Definitely can push a rider off to the side. Maybe it wound up blowing her a little bit to the side, but she didn't have the weight on her bike. But look at the toboggan. This is a very important factor to note, that she recovered her speed with 10 seconds to go. Definitely a lot of momentum and a tail whip. Oh, wow, so close to getting her feet back on the pedals, but able to roll away as the clock tick, tick, tock, and that is time for run number 2 for Macarena Perez. Wow, so having a crash out there, definitely not what you want to have happen. Thankfully back to the feet, but like you said, she seems surprised by it as well. That usually happens when a rider's tires wash out like that. But the tail whip on the quarter pipe, big trick. I want to throw a little history into the tail whip. Joe Johnson, first rider to throw down the tail whip. Joe Johnson, a legend of BMX, but right now, again, we are talking about the legends of women's freestyle. We are seeing some pioneer riding out here. There is a tail whip. I remember when I grew up riding BMX and racing, Marie McGilvery was a name, definitely a pioneer of the women's BMX movement. And then back in New York, in our local scene, Nina Buitrago, we got her first bike, and she's been a pioneer of the women's freestyle movement. She's definitely coached a lot of the riders. And now we've got Nikita Dukaros, who definitely is a big influence out in her scene and showing all the women around the world, hey, you know what? You can get out there, you can ride, you can have a great time on the bike. And we are going to be going to the Olympics, making BMX freestyle a male and women's sport. Here we go, up the vert wall. Nikita coming in. Can again, keeping the momentum, Ryan.
Yeah, a nice transition, catching right there. Beautiful alley-oop on that volcano feature.
Yeah, Nikita right here, pumping around the volcano, setting up for the hip, 1 foot X up. Such cool extension. You actually can see the way that she stepped into the hip and got the X up all the way around, full 180. That was an OG original dirt jumping trick made popular by Tim Fuzzy Hall. Right now, Nikita over the box with a backflip.
Yes!
Yeah, Nikita. Even though she didn't go the distance, 540.
Wow.
Oh. Disappointing going down on that 540. I think she's all right, just taking a quick breather. She's giving the thumbs up. Again, 60 seconds is a long time. We switched format this year. We went with the full 60 seconds, so we're going to see that being such a determining factor for all of our competitors out here. Remember last year in our series, Ryan, we were out in Colorado where the elevation change and that time on the clock, the endurance was such an important factor for our riders to keep up. But Nikita going down to that 540, not able to get it fully around. But definitely got the full rotation on that backflip on the course.
Yeah, and you can just notice, for instance, she came a little bit short on that backflip, but held so confidently on her pedals, was able to get a pedal in right away to gather speed going up into that 540 to prepare for it. It just showcases how confident she is on her bike. You can notice that as she's screaming around the course, she just has an amazing ability. It seems like she has won with that bike.
All right, well, we are keeping our UCI BMX Freestyle Park World Cup Women's Final rolling. Taking run number 2 of 2 is Bora Lessman. She was your number 2 qualifier. So in our qualification, she rode the course with top honors, and she is going to be strutting out here. Run number 2. Yo!
Yeah, no foot can.
Wow, both feet off, then showing a can-can. There is a pedal/crank flip. Bora Lessman pumping up the vert wall, showing you why she was a top qualifier. Can-can step through. Remember, the score to beat is a 78. Set by Silvia Cruz. Foot plant again on the wall. Such a cool trick where you change your momentum, grab it behind the seat.
showcasing such nice trick ability throughout this run. Going for the crank flip up.
But she's got 5 more seconds. Are we going to see that wild variation again? No, Bora Lessman's big solid run. You see her right there getting some support, giving a pound to Hannah Roberts, who is yet to ride. But we're taking a look at some of our slow-mos out here. Can't step through. Again, want to take a time to just remind you, we've got our Worm app where you can download the app and you can check out all of our athletes' highlights in slow-mo. You know, a good one to see is from our first run, that crank flip bar spin, which is really cool on that Worm app where you can see. But we are going to look at our #1 qualifier. Had a crash in her first run. This is your 2016 FISE World Series defending champion. First place out in Montpellier earlier in the year, coming from the United States. This is Hannah Roberts. Hannah charging 360, going the distance. Wow, and again, showing the confidence in the bowl corner, able to pump and carve.
Yeah, that 360 was buttery, and especially coming back, beautiful hits on both those left-hand hips. Tuck no-hander into that bar spin. Nice X up backwards on the spine, and a manual over top of that.
Hannah coming in, looking for a setup right there, but still able to clear over the box jump. There's a bar spin. You see Hannah rocking a t-shirt that says The Kitchen, also has a green and purple grip. Those are some dedication to her cousin, Brett Benisewicz, one of the most talented riders in BMX. He's got his own skate park. I know everybody is watching, cheering on at The Kitchen right now as Hannah puts down a big flare. With final moments on the clock, Hannah, solid run at #2.
This is why you see Hannah on top so often out here. She is elated with that one, finishing off with that flare. One of the only women BMX athletes to be able to do that in competition, and she executed it beautifully right now.
Yeah, so Hannah right there coming back with a great run #2. We're looking, even though she went over the box jump, I believe she was looking to pull a different trick out, but she had no problem at all with that flare. That is a backflip with the 180 on the quarter pipe. But the real question, is that going to be enough to get a higher score of a 78? Because our current leader is Silvia Cruz. Will it be enough? Hannah had a crash in her first run. Even though she had the flare, even though she'd float around for the entire run of the second, is an overall approach on the course. We're not sure if that is going to be enough. But let's take a look at some of the highlights from our UCI BMX Freestyle Park World Cup Women's Final. Looking at the progression of BMX, that tabletop was completely leaned over and flat.
Had some amazing riding from all the top female athletes out here today.
Yeah, Camilla right there with a turn down over the box jump. Here is Silvia Cruz with a backflip. Again, she is our current leader with scores not in from our second group of 4 women athletes. There was a look at Val Ward. There is a tuck, no-hander. There's that Smith stall, very cool again. Technical, no brakes, getting that balance point. And here is a look at second run backflip from Shanice Silva Cruz. So we are going to see, those were highlights from our first heat of riders. Our second heat yet to come in. That is Macarena Perez, Nikita Dukaros, Bora Lessman, and Hannah Roberts. So the real question, our 5 judges, they have the fate of our women athletes here at stop #2 of 4 in our FISE World Series. I'm talking about Hank, Luke Kovic, Igor Vukadinovic, Brian Kaczynski, and Van Homan. They are going to see which one of our women athletes are going to be on top, as this is a points race. Our first stop in Montpellier, Hannah Roberts was on top. She currently has 10,000 points. Second place went to Nikita Dukaros, who has 9,000, and Macarena Perez has 8,200 points. So these are going to be very crucial here as we have 4 stops
If you guys are curious to see what's going on course right now, you see a ton of BMX professionals flying out there in practice. We are going to be having the UCI BMX Freestyle World Cup Men's Park semifinal coming at you. But here are the results after all the 8 riders come out. It's going to be none other than first place here, Bora Lessman with the 84.00, followed by the Swiss athlete Nikita Dukaros with the 79.60, and none other than Hannah Roberts in third place with a 79.20.
Wow, so Bora Lessman coming on top, showing you that the technical abilities with those crank flips and the bar spins really beating out as far as some of the solid runs out there with a lot of speed. 84, almost 5 points ahead of our other competitors. Now, one thing to note, Hannah in there with the 79.20, she's still going to be podium, but had that big crash in her first run, so that definitely can wind up impacting score as we see out there. And then Silvia Cruz just getting bumped out with that 78. She was your rider from the first heat. So we see 3 of our women athletes going into the top positions, but let's take a look at Bora Lessman's winning run.
And as we say, it's a winning run. It is an overall compilation, so we're just going to be showing one of the top runs from Laura out here. I believe this was the first run as she started off with that nice 1-foot can into the pedal flip or crank flip coming up. You notice how fluid she is.
Yeah, and she's demonstrating her bike control as well. Doing a crank flip is not an easy thing, especially that foot plant on the wall. You're just showing that you have such confidence where you don't even have to look at your feet placement or your pedals. But one thing I do want to note, Ryan, to all of our BMX fans at home is the speed and momentum on this entire run thus far. She has just been clearing every jump, every hit, getting up and over the step up. And now right here, we're taking a look at the tail tap. She's setting up the vert wall, and this is with the technical ability right here. Crank flip and a bar spin.
Wow, that was one of the coolest tricks that we saw, and as well that especially awarded her some big points with the judges. Going back to perfected, had a little bit of a fall over on that uphill landing at the end, but Laura definitely putting some tricks down there that we have not yet seen in the female discipline.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to give her that trick right there, even though she wound up tipping over a little bit. It was an uphill landing. And if you guys log on to the, I should say download the Worm app, you can check out her trick in slow-mo right there. It's the full crank flip with the bar spin, putting all the limbs on. But here's a look at run number 2. Again, it's that consistency. We talk about an overall impression. That's what the UCI is looking for. It is 2 runs. It's definitely an overall high speed, high flow, and we're seeing some variety out here. Even though that foot plant was utilized, there's a different approach, different flow on the course, and that's what scored her that high run of an 84, which again was almost 5 points higher than our second place and third place.
So if you guys are just tuning in, maybe you're late out here to the show. This was the UCI BMX Freestyle Park World Cup Women's Final that just happened. And we had Bora Lessman take the top honors. We just saw her 2 runs go down there. But make sure you guys stay tuned because we're going to have the men's semifinals happening in just over half an hour. So make sure you stay tuned. We're going to be having some amazing content and action preceded on all the feeds, social feeds. Make sure you tune in because there is no shortage of action. We're going to have 4 separate events going on today. The next one up is going to be the men's park semifinals at 3 p.m.
So we're taking a look at your scores coming in with the points, because this is a point series race right now. For the overall ranking, we're only looking at the Budapest scores. Bora Lessman is going to be awarded 10,000 points. Nikita Dukaros, 9,000. Hannah Roberts, 8,200. And so on. But it is a points race. As we mentioned, Hannah Roberts had 10,000 points from getting first place in Montpellier. So this is an average out here, and Nikita Dukaros got second place. So she might be sitting solid right there with adding up and totaling.
Well, it's been an amazing event out here for the first edition that we did the live of the Women's Park Finals, and it's been an absolute pleasure. On behalf of Ryan Meyer, myself, and Daryl Now, thank you very much for tuning in, and make sure you follow us again in Edmonton and Chengdu out here on the FISE World Series.